So Solomon looks at the things which happen on this earth. There's a time for all kinds of beginnings and a time for all kinds of endings. And eventually all of our lives are going to end. He says that there is no good in these things, but for a man to rejoice and do good in his life. And again, Solomon looks at things again in a spiritual light. To rejoice in things, God wants us to rejoice. He wants us to live in fullness of joy. Jesus said, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. But this fullness of joy will not come when we set our hearts on the things that are under the sun. When we set our hearts on the things that are vanity, we will not have fullness of joy. There's people I've worked with, and their life is all about their work. They want to climb the ladder and become a success. But their life is vanity and vexation of spirit. Because once they get to the top of the ladder of success, either there's nothing left to do, or else they get fired and have to start over again somewhere else. There's no good in that. There's no gain in having great riches. The greatly rich man dies in the end too. There's no gain in having all kinds of knowledge of this world. The man with all kinds of knowledge is going to die in the end too. And it's not going to make him happy. Riches don't make a rich person happy. And he says that I know that whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And God doeth it, that men should fear before him. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past. Whatever God does is the way it's going to be. God wants men to fear before him. And it says, he goes on to say, that which was, it's already been. That which is going to be, it's already happened. But he says God requires that which is past. That is, God requires of us that which we do. There is no escaping of what we do. If we live for vanity, God's not going to let it slip. He goes on down to say, moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. You ever been cheated by someone who was in a place of authority when they were supposed to do right? Or judged unfairly, and you knew you were judged unfairly because they had a vested interest in you being judged unfairly? They had a conflict of interest? Like at teen activity. You ever had your side called out and you knew you weren't out? But the reason you were called out is the ref wanted the other side to win? That's kind of a silly example, but on this earth it seems like vanity and vexation of spirit, that those who are supposed to take care of right do wrong. But remember that God judges the righteous and the wicked. God is in control, and God judges in the end. Verse 18, chapter 3, I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beasts. Even one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all one breath, so that a man hath no preeminence above a beast. For all is vanity. All go unto one place, all are of dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? Therefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? On this earth, in a way, if you look at things through the eyes of the world, a man and a beast don't have any difference between them because they both die. That's what Solomon's saying here, is if you look at things through the world's eyes, your life is meaningless because you're going to die the same way your pet dog dies. Your life is meaningless. Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than a man should rejoice in his own works. Well, if your life is meaningless, you might as well enjoy it. Then you look back at chapter 2 and realize, well, all your works weren't so rejoiceful after all, were they? They didn't bring any joys. Life lived under the sun, life lived for the things on this earth, doesn't mean anything. Verse 21, he says, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward? Solomon again points out that there is an eternity, and there is something worth living for, but it's not the things under the sun. It's not the things of vanity. Those won't bring any profit to us. He says, so I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. On the side of the oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. So he looks, sees here's people being squashed, and they're miserable, no one to comfort them. The squashers aren't any happier, and there's no one to comfort the squashers either. Wherefore I praise the dead which are already dead more than the living which are yet alive. Why does he praise the dead more? Well, because they don't have to go through it anymore. If you look at things through the worldly viewpoint, life isn't worth living, is what he's saying. Yea, better is he than both they which hath not been, who hath not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. He said, you know what? If that's all life is worth, it's even better just not to have ever even been, if life is just misery. He says, again, I consider travail in every right work, that for this is a man is envied of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. He then goes on to talk about envy, about vanity, or covetousness. You know, a man will do right works, and God will bless him, and his neighbor gets jealous about it. The fool foldeth his hands together and eateth his own flesh. What he's talking about here is giving an illustration of him being so greedy to get further gain, he'll even eat his own hands. He'll do anything for further gain, and what's that profit him? He destroys himself with his greed. Better is a handful with quietness than both hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. If your hands are full of all kinds of gain, but to get that gain all you had was misery, that's vanity and vexation of spirit also. Then I turned and saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, there is not a second. Yea, he hath neither child nor brother. So there's a man, he's all alone, he doesn't have anyone. Yet there is no end of all his labor, neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither, saith he, for whom do I labor and bereave my soul of good? This also is vanity, yea, it is a sore travail. So there's a man, he works hard all his life, but doesn't have anyone to leave it to. What's it matter that he works hard all his life? What's it going to do for him? Solomon goes on to say, two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. And for sake of time, I won't read all the verses, but he says, if there's someone with him, there can be someone there to help him. But the question then becomes, if you have someone with you, how long do they stay? Roommates leave. Charlie left. Devin's leaving. Spouses die. Kids die. Sometimes we die before them. Sometimes they die before us. Not to belittle the loss of another person, but we can't keep anyone forever. It's good to have someone else, but if you set your whole heart on the other people with you, if your heart is just on another person, it's vanity and vexation of spirit. A note for those of us who are single. Just getting that special someone in our lives, it won't answer all the problems, and it won't bring us true joy. There is no end of all people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. There's no end of all the people. There's always people around. There's no end of them. But people don't bring joy either. They just bring more vanity and vexation of spirit. Skip with me, if you will, to chapter 12. Chapter 12, Solomon comes to the conclusion of the matter. I wish we had time to read the whole book of Ecclesiastes, because it's a really neat book, and it's a really encouraging book too. It talks all about vanity of vanities and the pointlessness of things. Well, here's the really neat thing. If you look at all the things on this earth being pointless, when you lose all the things of this world, it won't mean anything to you much that you lost them. If your heart's set on Christ, if your affections are set on things above and not on things on this earth, the loss of the things of this world won't hurt as much, and it won't mean as much. Solomon says in chapter 12, verse 1, Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, or the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun